Hey, how you doing? So it's been a while since I made a video. I've been busy. I had a couple of projects that I'm working on, so I'm just taking a little bit of a break from the posting. But I had a sort of thought that I want to share today about a spiritual breakthrough. So I think we're all on the same path. Anyone looking at all into spirituality, even self-improvement, is really on the same path. And that path is to freedom of mind, freedom to act, freedom to be how we want to be without feeling restricted by our own minds or our own thoughts. The interesting thing about this is we tend to look to others to teach us something. We see other people, we think it might be how we're taught. We're taught that there are these sort of beings who are above and beyond normal humans, and that they have some secrets, and that just by following them or doing what they do, then we will get some sort of outcome that we're looking for. And I'm not going to debate any of that, because there's truth to that as well. But what I want to get across from my own experience is that when it comes to this breakthrough, a spiritual breakthrough, in terms of this freedom that we're looking for, this moment of transition from one state into another, that essentially what is leading this is not going to be found by following anything at all. Because what we're looking for is the activation of our own internal will, or the activation of our own internal authority, which has no questions for anyone. And actually following anyone in this respect is only going to lead us back out of where we're looking for. So, I mean, that's the basic point, is that we look for something from someone, and in doing that, we're actually stepping further away from where we need to be. We'll find that we have all these hang-ups and all these beliefs that certain things need to be certain ways for us to do what we think we need to do. But we'll see that actually the point that we're trying to get to is the letting go of all that, and the true personal interaction with our own spirit, and the following of our own spirit where it leads. Now, I'm not saying don't follow teachers and don't do these spiritual practices and all that, because there's a huge use for that. As we are now, I mean, unless you start quite young, the fact is that our bodies become corrupt, our minds become corrupt by what we experience and the things we take in, and the way that we're taught in the world today. What we're actually taught today teaches us basically the opposite of what we need to know for our freedom, and then obviously we all know the reason for that, and if you're watching this, you probably know the reason for that. But what I want to do is push you one step further to see that what you need to let go of is even the reliance on these people who you think are these spiritual teachers, including me. I'm not a spiritual teacher at all. I'm just trying to share my experiences, because I've spent a long time applying myself and my thought into what is the point of all this stuff that we're being taught. And the point is that we all have within us an internal authority. We all have within us a power, and we all have within us the same logos. This is at the root of all the philosophical traditions, is this idea of activating the logos, or the gnosis, the truth within, the guiding light within, the master within. The only way to do that is to trust it and to listen to it, which is your internal self. I think on the whole, what we're trying to get away from is our own insecurity, and our insecurity is our lack of trust of ourselves. And that's obviously basically beaten into us as children, at school, and as your kid, you're taught there's a right answer and a wrong answer, and if you step out or do something wrong, then you're punished, and then you're ostracized, and then you get this fear around even just answering questions. But the reality underlying it all is that each of us has our own process, each of us is at our own level, and we can have a spiritual breakthrough at any level of education. It's basically irrelevant education, although in this context, I think for anyone who becomes ultimately attracted to my videos, you'll be the type of person who have looked deeply into philosophy and all these things, and I want to explain my perception and my perspective on how the breakthrough happens, because we go through a long period of researching, we're building up a worldview, and then at a certain point, you become very aware of the fact that for all the philosophies and all the words and all the teachings you can ever read, that the truth is outside of that. This is basically what the essence of what shifted in postmodern and post-structural philosophy is, and I mean this is wreaking havoc in society, because it's being used in various ways. The idea of relativity of truth, but it's a fact that can be understood internally as recognizing that words themselves don't have the capacity to convey the meaning which ultimately the universe presents us with in a daily experience, which means that once you fully internalize that, then you see the world in a totally different way. And suddenly you have a huge amount of freedom because you realize that the true reality is only accessed by you internally. Obviously, it can be shared with others, but it is a totally individual, unique, personal thing to your experience. But you'll see that when you access that level of intuition or that level of understanding, then it's also a shared experience, because there is a deeper level of consciousness that is transcendent of our individual education, our individual minds. And the truth is within that, and is basically what you'd call conscience, common knowledge, or the good. In philosophy, they call it the good, the transcendent good, meaning that there is a right and a wrong, and it's pretty much known by everyone. If you stand in a group of people and something bad is, someone's being, victimized, everybody knows what's up and everyone knows what they should do. But we have a certain level of training as children and as young adults and even as adults that basically make us undermine our own judgment of that and just look to the herd to see what's right and wrong, which is obviously why at root we have all these atrocious things going on in society, because that core essence of ourselves has been subverted, but it's done personally. We subvert ourselves. So that's like the basic point. I think if we want to wrap it up and keep this short,